हरि ओम. ओम श्री Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Reading of magazine Chinmaya Udghosh, September 2025. The festival of 9 days and 9 nights. 3 to shake away the tamas, 3 to bring in values, and 3 to seek the truth makes the perfect guide for our spiritual evolution. It is sure to bestow us with vigor, virtues, and victory. Let us invoke the Devis Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati to bless our lives with goodness always. Jai Mata Di. Dear reader, we are living in interesting times. Just as India nearly veered into an armed attack from Pakistan in the recent past, we are now staring at an economic battle. The world is watching intently as we have enough allies and competitors in the market. While there are many betting on India's fortunes to crumble under the US tariff war, there are even more cheerleaders waiting to see India emerge unscathed. We bring to you a cover story that outlines how India is rising despite the many traps that Uncle Sam seems to be setting for her. If you flip the pages a little more, you will find an interesting parallel to the Mahabharata, where the sage Narad questions King Yudhishthir on his readiness to go to war. Sometimes these epics have a sure way of telling us that there are not issues of the past. The messaging and the lessons are relevant as ever. It is the festive season again. May we find reasons to revere and rejoice as individuals, societies, and nation and a civilization. Have a splendid September. Love, editors. What is in mind? Can it be tamed? Develop contentment. 4. You have got a point. The patriotism meter. Read daily, live fully, alone to the alone, all alone. Real Vedanta, Mahavatar Narasimha. Career and you. The sometimes painful, often hilarious reality of adulting at work. Beyond the goal, drive in the now. India first. When tariff rise, so does India. Mindful whispers, a testament of time, nay, faith. Cheek news, is this the spotlight you seek? Chandra, 108. Live life well, ready to attack. Let us go. Some journeys begin long before we start. Ram, the man of Treta Yuga. Kabandha's redemption. Light-hearted, what's up? TITI, Destiny, and Lord. Figure it out. Summadum. Names of Lord Vamana. Root to our roots. Prayers. Wise nuggets. Namaste Devadesh Sarvavapin Janardana Satvadi Gunabhedena Loka Vyapara Karine Salutations to the Lord of Lords, the all-pervading Lord Janardhan, who fuels the activities of the world with the varied aspects of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Excerpts, excerpts, experts, excerpts from Vaman Stotra, Vaman Jayanti on is on 4th September 2025. Mind cannot be tamed. An article by Pujya Swami Sarupanandaji. Charity. Develop contentment, part 4, continued from the previous issue. For that matter, gratitude finds its highest expression in charity. Be charitable. When you give, you experience a great sense of abundance, when in turn confers greater joy. This is the law of nature. The more you give in charity, the more you overcome greed and discover your wealth, your inner strength and sufficiency. In a parallel vein, attachment is undone by constant inquiry. Ask yourself whether you are really dependent on an object and cannot live without it. If your answer is yes, then do you possess the object or does the object possess you? It must be noted here that I am not at all advocating a total abandonment of objects, for that would of course be foolhardy. Neither am I saying that all desire itself is wrong and unnecessary. That line of thinking is reserved for the rarest among humans, elevated souls who are completely surrendered to the divine. But in the cat and mouse world of intense job competition, shrinking resources and other diverse demands, ambition and desires have a very important role to play. We must only see to it that it is we who create and consume our desires, and not let the reverse happen, where we get created or consumed by them. That is the enlightened practical approach recommended for those in the workaday world, and that frame of mind is the only conducive starting point for any journey towards new enlightenment. You have got a point. An article by Adityan Divakar Vidya, chief member, the patriotism meter. India is my country. The very first line of the Indian national pledge claims this land to be our own, and yet not all citizens are good citizens. Patriotism is more than just spirited chest thumping. It can be defined only as an inspired struggle towards a more radiant Bharat. Here is a meter to check where we stand with respect to our grand national resurgence. Give yourself points if you +1. Salute the national flag daily. Know the stories of at least 5 Indian Army heroes. Know the stories of at least 5 Bharatiya scientists. Visit a temple regularly. Read the ingredient label on packaged food products. +2. Plant a sapling regularly. Choose local products over branded ones. Have nursed, rescued a stray animal. Plus 3. Speak about the glory of Bharat, past or present. Employ methods to reduce water and electricity usage. Ditch plastic for more sustainable alternatives like cloth and bamboo. Take away a point if you have ever. -1. Honked unnecessarily in traffic. Abused a passerby, pedestrian, driver on the road, even verbally. Cut the line at a government office, public service center. Made a discriminatory remark about someone from a different community, caste, or religion. Ignored, disrespected, or mocked a Bharatiya language. -2. Kept sitting while the national anthem was playing. Littered, spit on, or urinated near a public street or highway. Chosen to remain silent after witnessing a legal offense. -3. Vandalized a wall, floor, or any other publicly visible structure. Taken a paid, taken or paid a bribe. Stolen anything from a public place. You might have noticed a straight difference here, dear reader. You gain points only for things that you do regularly, but you lose points even for singular offenses. The reasoning is thus: building a nation requires persistent, enduring effort. Breaking a nation only takes a moment of ignorance and animalism. Patriotism must seep from our hearts into our actions. So let us make this a practice to not just say it but to do it. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Read daily, live fully with Swami Chinmayananda. Alone to the alone, all alone. You are not, unfortunately, what you think yourself to be. You think you are successful, others in your office are attributing it to your chair, perhaps to the greatness of your father in law. You think you are efficient and strict, others consider you as weak and bad tempered. You count yourself to be a kind father, others say that you are spoiling your son. You imagine that you are a great Romeo to your neighbor sister. She takes you to be a lunatic, though often interesting and entertaining, typical. Most of us are type, entertaining type. Most of us are generally unconscious of the duality in ourselves. We mistake ourselves to be the ideal and are generally blind to our actual imperfections. Thus, we find a notoriously selfish man in society warmly and sincerely criticizing the slightest trace of selfishness in his neighbor. In a world of no mirrors, it is possible that a squint eyed man la- laughs at another squint eyed person, because the one who laughs knows not the angle at which his own eyeballs are facing each other. Within ourselves, if we carefully watch, we can discover that intellectually we have a clear concept of morally strong, ethically perfect, and physically loving and socially disciplined men. that we should be, but in the mental zones of our emotions and feelings, however, we are tantalized by our own attachments, likes and dislikes, loves and hatreds, appetites and passions. If an individual has discovered that there is enough in him to be divided into two portions, and when he wants to keep the lower as brilliant and chaste as the higher, the technique that we will have to employ to fulfill this aspiration is called religion. The processes by which the wavering and wandering sense mongering mind is brought under the direct management and discipline of the higher are altogether called the spiritual techniques. The process of self rehabilitation and self redemption of the Satan in us cannot be executed by inviting tenders and giving the contract to the lowest bidder. Each will have to do it all by himself. Alone to the alone, all alone is the way. No guru can take the responsibility. No scripture can promise this redemption. In this process, the teacher and the scriptures are the houses of God. All have their proper appointed duties and limited influences. But the actual happening depends upon how far we learn to howl ourselves out from the gutters of misunderstanding in ourselves. No altar can, no altar can, with its divine blessings, make the lower the higher. The lower must necessarily be trained slowly and steadily to accept and come under the influence of the discipline of the higher. Real Vedanta, a column by Asmani Shirgaonkar, Mahavatar Narsimha. Mahavatar Narsimha is a film about pure devotion, bhakti, Bhakta Prahlad's love for Bhagavan Vishnu. Most of us are familiar with this Puranic story, having heard it from our grandparents or parents in our childhood. But watching the atrocities that little Prahlad faces for his unflinching devotion on the big screen is a different experience in itself. The movie is certainly a big screen watch. After watching the movie in both 3D and 2D, I recommend watching it in 2D. I found the 3D a little tiring for the eyes. The music, the animation, the script, the flow, the grandeur, the vision, the dialogues all deserve a cent% score. Prahlad's softness, dharmic nature, steadfast love for Bhagavan at the age of 5, his all inclusiveness, his wisdom, all these traits have been beautifully portrayed by the makers of the movie. He overly, his overly egotistical father repeatedly tries to kill him, but that does not shake his faith in Bhagavan, nor his purity. Although it's an animated film, the emotion of the film is spot on. I have watched this movie twice and may watch it again too. The movie is entirely made in India and beats many foreign films like a lot of Indian movies often do. full of soul. The movie has touched people deeply. The scene where Mahavatar Narsimha enters the frame is mind blowing. His anger at the atrocities his devotee has faced, his deep love for Prahlad, his fight with the Daityas and Hiranyakashipu, and his all powerful avatar has been brought to life superbly. One has to see it to believe it. I was left speechless and numb, looking at the spectacle of the eight-handed Mahavatar Narasimha. The story shows how a self-obsessed ego leads to the destruction of the self, family, and society. From Hiranyakashipu, one can also draw parallels to today's times where certain religions claim their God to be the only God. He was so intoxicated by his ego that he proclaimed himself to be God, insisting and forcing others to worship him as God. The irony is that the son born to him is the greatest devotee of Bhagavan Vishnu right from birth. The whole story has been shown so fantastically and beautifully. Kudos to the director of this movie, Ashwin Kumar, for having envisioned a brilliant movie from our Puranic Katha. A lot of obstacles stood between him and his vision, but he had faith, love, and grit. What we see on screen for 140 minutes is a continuous effort over a period of more than 5 years. Doing an animated film is extremely tough. 1 second consists of 24 images, and each image takes 4 to 10 hours of rendering or computer processing. So 1 second essentially takes 2 weeks to prepare. Once a few minutes are ready, if the results are not satisfying, the process has to start again. The script was drafted and changed 5 times. The script is based on the Vishnu Puran and Srimad Bhagavatam and cross-checked by Dharma Gurus. During the making, Clean Products of Ashwini Kumar was backed by Homble Films, the producers of Kantara. This intervention was a blessing for Ashwini and the project. Released on 25th July 2025, the 5 languages Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, Hindi, and Telugu. A film has received a response like no other. Made with a budget of 15 crores, its worldwide box office collections crossed 282 crores. At the time of this review going to print, the euphoria and emotion it is invoking is on another level. Devotees have removed footwear outside cinema halls. Some have traveled 100 kilometers to watch the film. Many stand and offer namaskaram when Narsimha Avatar appears on screen, and they cry in joy seeing Prahlada's devotion. The makers have done a brilliant and sincere job in bringing out this story as an animated movie. Mahavatar Narsimha broke the pillar the first time he gave darshan. and this time box office records are being broken by his darshan. Career and You, a column by Jyotika Sera. The sometimes painful, often hilarious reality of adulting at work. Congratulations on being an adult, a graduate, and having the intent to conquer the world. Or at least now you know how to Google, write a cover letter without crying. Starting your career as a young adult can seem daunting, just like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. Everyone demands experience that you don't have, internships that don't pay, and salaries that barely cover your Netflix subscription. Let us break it down, laugh a little, and figure out how to turn this chaos into something meaningful. The catch 22 of experience required. The paradox. Jobs require experience, but you can't get experience without a job. Employers asking for 3 years of experience for an entry level role in the adult world's version of hazing. Instead of spiraling, remember, experience doesn't always mean paid work. There are ample ways to show experience. Remember, you did a part time gig at the campus library. That's customer service, leading your project group. Hello. Leadership skills, volunteering to design your cousin's wedding invitation. Graphic design, frame your experiences creatively but truthfully, and you will find you have more to offer than you thought. The great internship dilemma. Internships are like spinach. You don't want them, but they are supposed to be good for you. Sure, many are unpaid, but if you choose strategically, they can be golden stepping stones. Pick the ones with reputable organizations or industry leaders. Even a short internship can give you a gold star name on your resume and a few LinkedIn worthy anecdotes. And remember, stipends aren't glamorous, but they are often better than nothing. For those internships that offer coffee fetching instead of skill building, politely say no. Your time is more valuable than being the human equivalent of Uber Eats. Network without the net worth. You don't need an uncle who is from the Tata or Ambani family to network effectively. Most professionals are willing to help out a fresher. After all, they too have been there. Start by crafting a killer LinkedIn profile and a professional picture, no duck faces. Write a concise but engaging summary and connect with classmates, professors, and alumni. Pro tip: alumni networks are gold mines. Reach out to people from your university working in your desired field with a friendly message, something like hello instead of a hi or hey hi. I saw you graduated from XYZ University. and now work in XYZ industry. I would love to hear about your career journey over a quick call whenever you have the time. Authenticity is key, and most will appreciate your initiative. The salary shock. Entry level salaries can feel like a slap in the face after years of studying, but they are called entry level for a reason. Use your first job to learn, grow, and position yourself for something better. In the meantime, budget like your future depends on it because it does. Apps like Mint can help you keep track of expenses. And yes, cutting down on those lets lets is a glitch for a reason. But treat yourself occasionally. Burnout isn't cheap. Burnout isn't cheap. Building your career toolkit. While you are at it, you must build your career toolkit. Here is how. 1. Learn skills online. Free or affordable platforms like Coursera, Udemy, or even YouTube can make you proficient in Excel, Photoshop, or public speaking. Skills equal money. Tailor your resume, customize it for every job. Yes, it's tedious, but it works. Highlight the specific skills and experiences that align with the job description. Practice interviews. Recruit a friend or record yourself answering common interview questions. It's awkward but effective. Final thoughts. Starting your career might feel like juggling flaming swords, but it's also an exciting time to explore who you are and what you want. In today's era, if you can patiently invest your time in discovering something meaningful, investing in inner growth because you have time, and focusing energies on your callings, interests, it will help you tremendously later. After such things sound great in an interview. Also, such things sound great in an interview. Be bold and don't be afraid to make mistakes. After all, every CEO, artist, or entrepreneur started where you are, wondering how to take the first step. Now, go get them, tiger, but maybe update your LinkedIn first. Ram, the man of Treta Yuga, a Chinmaya Udghosh publication. Kabandha's redemption. Kabandhavaho Ram who severed the hands of the demon Kabandha. After traveling 2 leagues, about 11 kilometers, Sri Ram and Lakshman leave the crouch forest behind. As they continue further, Lakshman senses certain omens that alert his instincts to imminent danger. The forest thunders with a roaring sound, breaking the prince's dreary solitude, causing them to draw their swords in anticipation of what is to come. They are confronted by a weird looking demon named Kabandha, who is as big as a mountain. The demon is shaped like a tree trunk with no head or neck and with a fiery red eye on its chest. The abstract looking demon was a large, grotesque mouth in its stomach, has a large, grotesque mouth in its stomach with arms that extend 8 miles long. Sri Ram and Lakshman look on as he devours bears, lions, and many other beasts with discernible ease. No, on noticing the princess, the demon reaches out with his long arms and seizes them tightly in his grasp. Lakshman struggles but is unable to wriggle free from the demon's grip. Nearly giving up, he turns to Sri Ram, who is calm and composed. Sri Ram assesses the demon's weakness and tells Lakshman to aim his arrows at his arms, timing their arrows perfectly. They aim at the joints of Kavanda's arms and bring him crashing to the ground. As Kavanda lies defeated, blood gushes in a stream from his dismembered body. After learning of Sri Ram and Lakshman's identity, Kavanda is humbled and admits that his hideous form and actions are a result of curses from the sage Stulashira and Indra. He declares that Lord Ram is the only one who can break the curse and that he must be cremated. After cremation, he will return to his original form and be able to aid the Lord in his quest to find Sita. Upon completion of his cremation, Kavanda soars out of the fire and regains his magnificent and dazzling form. He is delightfully clad and once again aware of his supersensory intelligence. Thanking the eternally generous princess, he directs them towards the location of the chief of monkeys and sons of Lord Surya, Sugriv. He directs Sri Ram to a cave where Sugriv can be found and guarantees that with his vast knowledge he will be able to assist in their search for Sita. Beyond the goal by Colombo is Rana Pratap, Drive in the Now. It all started in a movie theater. I went to watch Brad Pitt's new film on Formula One. The moment the screen lit up with the sound of racing engines and flashing cars zooming past, I was completely drawn in. There's one scene that has always stayed with me. Brad Pitt's character is driving in the middle of a tight race. Cars are speeding all around him. His hands are gripping the steering wheel, his heart racing, but he is calm and focused. As one of the characters in the movie says he was actually flying. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the crowd, not the cameras, not even the result, just the moment, just the next turn, just surviving this lap. That scene took me back in time to the days of Michael Schumacher. I still remember how much I looked forward to Sunday evenings. I used to wait eagerly for the Formula One races. Seeing Schumacher in his red Ferrari was a thrill like no other. He wasn't just a driver, he was in complete control. Every move he made on the track was sharp, careful, and focused. Watching him race felt like watching a master at work. He was fast, but more than that, he was present. Back then, I didn't think much about what made him great, but now, after watching this movie, I realized Formula One is not just about speed, it's about being completely present in the present. One small mistake, 1 second of distraction, and it's over. To win or even to survive, the driver has to give his full attention to the now, and that's where the real lesson lies. In life, too, we often worry too much about the future. We overthink, stress, and try to plan every step in advance. But the truth is, we can only live one moment at a time. Just like in F1, the best way to move ahead is to stay focused on the moment we are in. The present is where our power lies. That doesn't mean we shouldn't think about the future. Of course, as an F1 team plans and strategizes, but none of that matters if the driver isn't focused on this second, this corner, this gear. The future comes anyway, one moment at a time. Param Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda once said, the present is the only reality. We hear that often, but sometimes it takes something like a film or the memory of a childhood hero to truly understand what that means. All of us are on our own racetrack. We face turns, bumps, victories, and setbacks. But if we stay fully present with an eye on the road ahead, but both hands on the wheel of now, we will go a long way. The future may be exciting, but the real race, it is right here, right now. What's up? A column by Pankaj Lohia. The era of quantum advantage. The world is stepping into the era of quantum advantage, a technological turning point where quantum computers solve problems beyond the reach of even the fastest classical supercomputer. Unlike traditional machines, quantum computers leverage quantum qubits, to process vast possibilities simultaneously, enabling breakthroughs in fields like cryptography, drug discovery, and complex simulations. Achieving quantum advantage means crossing the threshold where quantum machines solve real world problems faster or more efficiently than classical ones, while global tech giants like Google and IBM have already demonstrated early signs of this advantage. Countries around the world are racing to build quantum capabilities, and India is emerging as a serious contender. With initiatives like the National Quantum Mission and increasing investment in quantum research, India aims to become a global hub for quantum technologies. Government funding, academic research, and industry partnerships are laying the foundation for advancement in quantum communication, computing, and sensing. India's talent pool in physics, mathematics, and engineering gives it a strong base to innovate in this emerging domain. domain. The country also stands to benefit from using quantum computing in sectors like agriculture, healthcare, logistics, and national security. Having missed the semiconductor revolution, India cannot afford to miss the quantum bus. Strategic focus now can secure its position as a leader in the coming quantum powered future. शङ्कर उवाच प्रश्न किं शस्त्रं सर्वेषाम् उत्तरयुक्तिः Question what is everyone's weapon? Answer the ability to reason and right thinking. Wise nuggets दुर्जनः प्रियवादी च नैतद्विश्वासकारणं मधुतिष्ठति जिह्वाग्रे हृदि हालाहलं विषम्. Evil-minded and sweet-tongued people are not worthy of our trust. They carry honey on their tongue tip. Their hearts, however, are filled with the terrible poison called halahala. Dadu Dayal 1544 to 1603 was a 16th century saint, poet, and social reformer from Gujarat who later settled in Rajasthan. He was a prominent figure in the Bhakti movement and founded the Dadu Pantha, a religious sect emphasizing devotion to a formless universal God. Deeply influenced by Nirguna Bhakti, like Kabir, Daduji rejected idol worship, ritualism, caste distinctions, and religious orthodoxy, advocating instead for inner purity, compassion, and equality. Daduji's teachings, compiled in the Dadu Vani, used simple Hindi verses to make spiritual insights accessible to the masses. He preached love and unity, encouraged Hindus and Muslims alike to transcend sectarian barriers. His followers, known as Dadu Panthis, latter contributed to social welfare, religious education, and even played a role in resisting Mughal oppression. Poster: the roots of joy grow deepest in the soil of gratitude. Figure it out by Disha Daswani. Names of Lord Vaman: Vamanaya, Vasava Sodaraya, Vrutadandakaya, वेदवादिने, कृष्णाकपये, वशिने, वल्गुभाषिणे, विशारदाय, विनयान्विताय, विनयान्विताय, यशोदाहृते, विषादहृते, विश्वात्मने, वंद्याय. India First, a column by Shweta Sai. When tariffs rise, so does India. When the US President Donald Trump announced an additional 25% tariff on certain Indian goods, raising duties on some exports to as high as 50%. The headlines focused on disruption, but in India, the story is different. This is not a setback, it is a call to action. It is an opportunity to strengthen our position in the global economy, diversify our partnerships, and prove yet again that no challenge can slow the momentum of the world's fastest growing major economy. This decision doesn't exist in isolation. It's part of a bigger geopolitical puzzle. While the US criticizes India for continuing to buy discounted Russian oil, it quietly imports its own supplies from Russia in other forms, including fertilizers and uranium. This raises the question: is this about principles or is it a smokescreen for other political goals? Many see it as linked to Washington's renewed closeness with Pakistan, a country it has long used as strategic partner in the region, and to its broader rivalry with Russia. The sectors hit by these tariffs are significant. In 2023-24, India's textile and apparel exports were worth $35.9 billion, with the US buying around 28% of that, about $10 billion. Our gems and jewelry exports to the US stood at $12 billion, roughly 30% of the sector's total overseas sales. Engineering goods, auto parts, and certain agricultural products are also in the mix. On paper, that sounds like a heavy blow, but here's the bigger picture. India's exports are not standing still. Our sales to the UAE, Europe, and Southeast Asia are already rising fast. Textile exports to the UAE jumped 15% last year. Gems and jewelry exports to the Middle East rose 12%, and engineering goods to Africa increased by 9%. These are not small numbers. They prove that Indian businesses can quickly shift to alternative markets when needed. At the same time, India is not isolated in the global game. Far from it, our trade and strategic partnerships with Russia remain strong, not just in energy but also in defense and technology. More importantly, India's growing understanding with China, despite differences, combined with our alignment with Russia, creates a powerful bloc of Eastern giants. This emerging triangle has the potential to counterbalance US dominance in global trade. Ironically, moves like these tariffs may only push India, Russia, and China closer together, accelerating the shift in economic power towards Asia. The US Pakistan angle also cannot be ignored. Washington has been signaling warmer ties with Islamabad again, especially in different defense cooperation and aid. For decades, Pakistan has been used as a regional level lever by the US, and this renewed engagement may be part of a broader strategy to apply pressure on India. However, history shows that India has never allowed such maneuvers to dictate its policy or limit its growth trajectory. For Indian exporters, this is a moment to double down and on resilience, diversifying project lines, entering untapped markets, and moving up the value chain are the key strategies. For example, the Atmanirbhar Bharat push in manufacturing, especially electronics, great uh, green energy, and defense, can reduce dependency on any single country. With our technical sector already contributing over $250 billion in exports and growing at 8% annually. There's no shortage of areas where India can shine. It's only worth remembering that India's young workforce and booming startup ecosystem give us an agility that few nations can match. Whether it's building artificial intelligence powered supply chains, setting up export hubs in Africa, or turning renewable energy technology into a major export category. The opportunities are vast. The world economy is shifting, and India is in a prime position to lead in multiple industries at once. In many ways, this tariff story is not just about economics, it's about identity. India is no longer the emerging economy that must quietly accept whatever terms are offered. We are a confident, self reliant, $4 trillion economy with the talent, resources, and vision to chart out own courses, our own courses, to chart our own course. The numbers already tell the story. Our total exports hit $775 billion in 2023-24, up 5% from the previous year, despite a volatile global market. That growth is not going to stop because of one set of tariffs. The world is entering a period where trade alliances are as important as military ones. In that environment, India's ability to engage with the US, deepen ties with Russia and China, and expand into new markets all at once will be our greatest strength. Every challenge will be met with innovation, every restriction with a new route, every setback with a leap forward. Mindful whispers. A column by K.S. Yashaswini, a testament of time, nay, faith. Imagine standing on the very same ground the mighty Cholas stood, flanked by the walls of a temple which is about 1,000 years old, praying to a 16-armed Bhadrakali, who is both the protector and destroyer for the well-being of the land and its people, for success in all your expeditions, for the continued prosperity of the civilization. If it engulfs you with a feeling of pride and humility, inspiration and action, faith and fervor, you have imagined it right. This was my overwhelming sentiment while spending a weekend at Gangaikonda Cholapuram, Ariyalur district of Tamil Nadu. The town gets its name from the act of Rajendra Chola I, who brought back the water of the Ganges to the land of Kaveri. Rajendra Chola I, the illustrious son of the great Rajaraja Chola, was one of a kind. He led maritime expeditions to Kedah, Malaysia, marched up to Ganga, and built dams and lakes which have lasted over a millennium. The main Brihadishwar temple in Tanjavur, built by the father, is a world renowned monument, so unique in its architecture that it doesn't cast a shadow on the ground. Now Rajendra, in a manner of paying tribute to his father, built another Brihadishwar temple, except 9 meters shorter and 72 kilometers away. He didn't want his glory to overshadow his father's achievements. Talk about being a dutiful son. It was one of the thousands of people. I was one of the thousands of people who had visited the temple during the Adi Tiruvatiral festival, where the government of India had lined up an audiovisual exhibition on Shaiva Siddhanta, some classical arts performances, and the release of a commemorative coin in honor of Rajendra Chola I. Standing on the lawns, hearing Carnatic compositions on Shiva filled the air, while the Nandi and Sri Viman towered above me. I was at a loss of words. The concert was followed by a dance recital where children in their teens and pre-teens depicted the story of Amruta Manthana and how Shiva consumed Hala to save the world. The stories are several thousand years old. The technology is recent. The message and the object of devotion were eternal. The irony was not lost on me. I was amidst wonder in every form and being. While climbing the stairs of the temple, I noticed that the foundational plinth was as tall or higher than me. The Dwarpalakas at the entrance of the shrine were easily 9-10 feet tall. The main Shivalingam, befittingly called Brihadishwara in Sanskrit, Peruvodayan in Tamil, is 13 feet high, with a serpent food adorn its in gold. To say I was awestruck is an understatement. After visiting Shiva's shrine and heading towards Parvati Devi, called Brahannayaki or Perun Devi here, my mind was reeling with the sheer beauty and grace of the sculptures that were on the Viman. I came out, sat down, and basked in the silence of what must be one of the world's greatest architectural marvels. But that's the idea, that's the deal. It's not just architectural beauty. We have stories of airport ceilings cavings in, flyovers bearing new cracks, and modern temples with monsoon leakages flooding our news on a daily basis. What supports this temple, which is 1,000 years old, that our 21st century mortar and cement can't match? Perhaps the fact that every sculptor here worked as a devotee. Perhaps the fact that the king saw himself only as a servant of Lord Shiva. Perhaps the fact that they didn't have a deadline before some elections to botch up and plastering and carvings. Perhaps the fact that only faith can be the foundation of something eternal and inspiring. The Thevarams Ode to Shiva, written by the Nayanmar saints, sung at temples by generations after generations of Udghoshs. The Bharatanatyam pieces beautifully passed on through Guru Parampara. The classical Tamil preserved and passed on sincerely through our scriptures and inscriptions. The temple blocks with intricate carvings. Everything had one thing in common. They had stood the test of time only because of compelling faith. With the same faith, I stood there silenced, humbled, and inspired. Check News, a column by Prasiddhi Dave, Check, Chennai. Is this the spotlight you seek? Chandra 108. What is the deepest mystery we can contemplate on? That's the question that awakened the audience as the curtains rose on the drama Chandra 108. The answers from the audience ranged from the Bermuda Triangle to the Mariana Beach Trench. The narrator conveyed with a smile, breaking the collective ignorance, the ocean. Our gods churned the ocean to bring forth what lies hidden deep within it. The Amrit, Dhanvantari, Lakshmi Devi, etc. For now, we turn our attention towards the moon, which emerged from the cosmic churn. Just as the ocean holds mysteries, what wonders will emerge from when we churn the depths of our mind? Om Nila Patakinyay Namaha. The theatre series of Chinmaya Yuva Kendra Chennai made a grand return after 7 years with an electrifying theatrical production diving into the world of Chandra. His stories, symbolism, and celestial grandeur. After 5 tight months of brainstorming, the plot, framing the scenes, integrating dance sequences, and revisiting each scene over 8 times with our guide and spiritual mentor Swami Mitrananda. We arrived at the first draft of Chandra 108. The first show was put up at Chinmaya Vibhuti Podavan during the International Youth Convention Be There in May 2025. After the show, we recognized that the script could be even more thought provoking and powerful. In under a month, we revamped the script, re recorded the scenes, and on 29th June, we were all set for Chandra 108 to be staged for the first time in Chennai. The protagonist, Thingal Nishkalan, starts off his journey as a self-absorbed film star, insecure, driven by validation, and constantly chasing fame. His clingy yet emotionally unavailable girlfriend, Ashlesha, who insists on being called Ash, and his sarcastic, humor-driven friend Anush push him to confront his recurring question: is this the spotlight you seek? The illuminating yet quietly disruptive presence of debutant director Shashi Ranjani, along with her dear friend and guru figure Soman Tripurari, together steer Thingal towards what he truly seeks, the light beyond the spotlight. We explore the moon through various aspects: spiritual, psychological, biological, symbolic, and cultural. The moon is born of the mind. Chandrama Manaso Jataha. Soman Tripurari explains this to Thingal when he expresses his emotionally instability due to recurring nightmares. By invoking Chandra and calming the mind, one can block the unnecessary suffering and turbulence within. To Ekadashi, medicine for the mind. During a dinner party at Thingal's home, Swati, Thingal's close friend, and he get into a heated discussion about the impact of the full moon on cerebrospinal fluid and how it results in fatal health conditions if Ekadashi is not practiced regularly. 3. Moon saves Dharma. Moon saving Dharma through a dance, drama, and reenactment of the solar eclipse during the Mahabharata. We see how the moon masks the sun and helps Arjuna fulfill his vow. 4. Chandra Namaskar. We have heard of Surya Namaskar, but did you know Chandra too has its own Namaskar? Graceful, cooling, and much more meditative. Salutations to the moon, apt and necessary for balancing the mind, are demonstrated to Thingal. These are just a few of the many themes that were presented. It wasn't just a play, it was a wake up call for every budding writer, actor, techie, and manager Countless rehearsals and meticulous choreography wove together not just scenes but a truly cohesive team. The cast and crew discovered their true potential, setting up an entire stage in the dark under pressure, executing lighting, fast costume changes, and ensuring that every light cue perfectly matched the mood of the scene. All of it was a testament to peak team coordination. None of this would have been possible without the unwavering support and encouragement of Swami Mitrananda. The brilliant penmanship of Sai Teja, the groovy music by Deepak and Priyanka, and the visionary guidance of Kartishan, Kartishan who brought it all together. The spotlight of Chandra 108 didn't just shine on the stage, it lit something within each of us. Live Life Well by Columbi K.S. Yashaswini. How, when, where, why, what, who. Ready to attack. This series unravels the dharmic dialogue between Narad Muni and Raja Yudhishthir in the Sabha Parva of the Mahabharata. Part 23 saw how a good leader must be objective and impartial in their decisions. Part 24 follows. When we see the line of questioning and gentle advice that Narad Muni gives to Raja Yudhishthir, it becomes evident that Narada is not just a sage, a mendicant who creates confusion and cheekily chants Narayan Narayan. He comes across as a Raj Rishi, someone who is capable of administering kingdoms and strategizing for politics and warfare. What is a sure sign of pragmatism in a person? They are not fatalists. They don't leave things to the powers that be. All signs of a good leader point towards dynamism and action, not passive surrender. It is with the same spirit that we should look at the next set of questions that Narad asks the king. Oh, best of the Bharat race, do you reflect well upon the three kinds of forces that at once march against your enemy when you hear that he is in distress? It almost sounds like Narada is goading the Pandav king to wage war immediately, but that is not so. The three kinds of forces that Narad refers to here are the support of his council, the resource availability of the kingdom, and the willingness of the armed forces to fight. Let us consider each of these reasons more deeply. The council that the Pandav king has is bound to have experts on various subjects. There would be military strategists, just as there would be a minister to handle finances, someone who can weigh in on natural resources, another on arts, and so on. Over and over, this Yudhishthir's council would also include seers and elders of his clan, his brothers, and his mother. It is impossible that such counsel would guide him on the wrong path. Even if one voice tells him not to wage a war, there is enough reason for the king to ponder the need to attack. For the next, it is imperative for the administrator to know the wealth and resource availability of his kingdom before he goes to war. War is as much of an economic question as it is a question of security. Going to war immediately depletes the nation's resources. Feeding an army and funding the missiles can rapidly bankrupt a nation. There are larger questions to be asked depending on the size and level of preparedness of the opposition to how long will the war last? Will it yield something worthy to return in return? Can the army outmatch the opponent's forces and so on? If a kingdom is prepared with an ammunition, ammunition and enough resources to feed and fuel an army, only then does a war make sense. What's the point of a victory if the nation's wealth is ravaged at the end of it? For the last consideration, the king has to weigh in if the forces are motivated enough to fight a battle for him. Here, Yudhishthir might have his own motives to wage a war, but if his forces do not believe in his cause, if his commander in chief is not enthused enough to lead the forces, then they will retreat at the first instance. The enthusiasm and daring of the soldiers matter the most while waging a war. Further, as Narad points out, the action taken by the king must be at once and without remorse. There is no point in waiting out a decision. There is no guilt in attacking an enemy while he is in distress. Sri Krishna was willing to attack Karna when Karna failed. Enough and more opportunities were given to Karna to reform and retreat, but Karna chose to stay on the evil side, where an opponent has made their choices. There is no more compassion for their abilities. We must also remember that Narada has already advised that even when such a war is waged, the king must be able to provide refuge to the children, the elderly, and the women of the enemy's kingdom. So, here, distress is clearly not a social condition, it is merely a low moment for the enemy. If we compare these questions and even place them against recent wars we have seen in the world, it is easy to see where countries have made the right choice and where it has resulted in a loss for them. The prior and aftermath of a war are just as important as the period of war itself. In fact, One could argue that the before of a war is more important. With the right questions and enough reflection, it is possible for any leader to gauge if they are ready to attack. Some journeys begin long before you start. Let Us Go by Rohini Manohar. I had dreamed of going to Bali for years, so much so that my Instagram feed was full of images of its rice terraces, temples, and sunsets. But I hesitated. I had just become a mother, and the idea of traveling internationally with a baby felt like signing up for a Formula One pit stop, constantly busy with unexpected things always popping up. But more than anything, I missed the woman I used to be before lullabies and diapers became my daily rhythm. I missed the entrepreneur, yoga teacher, hustling girl. Don't get me wrong, I loved being a mother, but I also missed my old self. So one day, heart pounding, I calmed myself just enough to hit book now on the Make My Trip website. This wasn't just because about booking a holiday, it was a quiet decision to go looking for parts of myself that I feared I had lost. We went to the passport kendra and got my 6 month old her very first passport. And just like that, the adventure began, full of airport lounges with diaper changes, warm bottles during long layovers, rocking her up and down aeroplane easels to lull her to sleep, and in between the chaos, there were moments of awe, like watching her little eyes widen as we drove through Bali, past towering statues on the roundabouts that she looked at in wonder. We arrived at our hotel, surrounded by endless green rice fields. I made a quick meal for my mother and baby, and then opened Google Maps to check how far we were from the Bali Spirit Festival, the real reason I had come this far. The festival, nestled in the spiritual heart of Ubud, is a celebration of yoga, music, mantra, and movement. It's alive with seekers from across the globe, and it holds everything I had longed for since becoming a mother. What I didn't anticipate as I walked to this festival was the inner tug of war that would unfold. The quiet battle between being present for my child and being present for myself. I remember sitting in a yoga class, heart racing not from the breath work but for guilt, thinking, was she okay? Did she need me? Should I just leave? Will the teacher think I am weird if I leave? And then there were softer moments, moments of knowing, of realizing that taking an hour for myself didn't make me a lesser mother. In fact, it made me more grounded, more present. I was lucky to have my mother with us. Three generations of women traveling together. Her quiet strength created space not just for her granddaughter but for me too. While she watched over my baby, I sat and made my little girl flower crowns, performed fire and water ceremonies, and participated in numerous yoga classes. I had returned to our little guest house with sore feet and a full heart, only to find my baby fast asleep in my mother's arms. That image of them together has stayed with me. It reminds me that motherhood doesn't have to be a solitary climb. Sometimes it is a lineage, a chain of women holding one another up. Bali held me gently in ways I didn't expect. Maybe it was the Kanang sari offerings placed lovingly at every doorstep, or the incense in the air, or the incense in the air, even in the middle of traffic, or the easy warmth of the people. The island helped me to slow my anxious mind. There was nothing to chase, nowhere I had to be. That kind of spaciousness provided much needed healing for my mind, which was cluttered with a million things to do for my baby. Yes, there were moments I missed, workshops I couldn't attend, conversations I cut short, invitations I declined because my baby needed me. But there were also magical, unplanned moments. A local woman blessing my daughter's feet at a temple, or singing lullabies barefoot in a circle of women under the night sky. These moments weren't on the itinerary, but maybe they were the most important part of the trip. Now that I am home, I carry more than just memories. I carry trust in the balance I am slowly learning to hold between giving and receiving. Motherhood isn't about disappearing, and travel isn't about escape. Sometimes it's about bringing your full, messy, magical life with you. Baby, mother, doubts, dream, and all. Destiny by Rukma Sadhikar. Aries, failures in our life are a sign that we are trying, we are attempting different things, we are venturing into new fields and exploring our potential. No failure in life is a sign of a wasted life or a defined sign of stagnation and non performance. Every successful person has achieved what she has after failing many times. Taurus. To feel good, get plenty of sleep, exercise, smile, and laugh. All these enhance our mood in the short term and can eventually lead to long term happiness. If we work on our mind alongside the body, think happy thoughts, don't lose track going deeper into negative thoughts. Gemini, May 21 to June 21. Words are perfect instruments to convey what we want. We need to choose our words carefully. It does not end with choice of words. How we present those words also matters. The tone, the pitch, the volume, the stress on words or syllables, each brings out about a different connotation. Cancer, June 22 to July 22. Life isn't filled the best teacher for nothing. Life isn't called the best teacher for nothing. It uses every small opportunity to teach us lessons. But the lessons are not in your face. It's up to us to be alert to the lessons and pick what is appropriate for us. As they say, if the shoe fits, wear it. Leo, July 23 to August 22. Happiness is a here and now thing. Don't put it off for later. For all you know, you might lose the opportunity in the now and never get to the latter. Come to think of it, what do we really need to be happy? We can be happy with or without. Think about it. Virgo, August 23 to September 22. Success is not just a big things, but in small victories too. Every little thing we do counts as adding up to big wins. Celebrate every little accomplishment. Celebrating little things helps to stay focused on the bigger goals, one little step at a time towards the larger goal. Libra, September 23 to October 23. Comparison is a killer. When we compare our life to that of a person who we presume is doing better than us, we are setting ourselves up for mental strife and emotional upheaval. What the universe has planned for us will come to us at the right time. We just need to be patient. Scorpio, October 24 to November 21. Here's a poem Swami Chinmaya once shared. There is a reason for every pain that we must bear, for every burden, every care, for every hurt, for every plight, for every lonely, painful night, for every grief that crushes our heart, for every scalding tear we shed. There is a reason. Yet if we trust God, as we all must, it can all turn out to be for our good, as He knows the reason. Sagittarius, November 22 to December 21. Chill, don't get upset and angry with trivial things. Save your mind space and energy for better, more productive activities. If we can master this one art of overlooking the minor issues, the world would be a happier place for us. Smile and laugh your way through life. It's just not worth the stress. Capricorn, December 22 to January 19. Once you give your word, stick to it. There is nothing more shameful and lowly than going back on one's word. It's better to take time to ensure something instead of promising in haste and then going back on it. Like it said, जान जाए पर वचन न जाए. Think well before you promise, but once you do everything you need to stay true to it. Aquarius, January 20 to February 18. Be aware of self talk, the torrent of conversation that goes on almost continuously in the mind. That talk can be the most uplifting or the most distressing. The moment you find the self talk negative, angry about others, steer course. Get your mind to focus on the work at hand. Being in the moment stops our incessant self talk. Pieces, February 19 to March 20. It's more important to open our mind than to open our mouth. Of course, most of us find the latter far easier and often end up with our foot in our mouth. An open mind, like a parachute, can take us places, and if used well, one provide a safe landing too. Laugh out loud. Why did the crab refuse to share? Because it is shellfish. What's an astronaut's favorite part of a computer? The space bar. What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta. What did one ocean say to the other? Nothing. They just waved. हरि ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. हरि ओम श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय.